Thanks for staying with our news. I'm Amy Young.
And I'm Jim Arona. Here are the top stories we're working on this half hour.
Some people stranded in their driveways, others forced out of their homes. I'm Rocco Vertuccio with more on how today's rainy weather affected people in North Greece.
Elsewhere in our area, roads turn into rivers in Brockport. Complete flood coverage is straight ahead.
In North Greece, some people couldn't even get out of their driveways. The floodwaters rose so quickly.
Our news reporter Rocco Vertuccio and photojournalist Helen Moore have that part of our storm coverage.
I feel helpless. We all feel helpless.
Helpless and at Mother Nature's mercy.
It's unbelievable.
Several feet of water on Brush Creek Drive in North Greece stranded Michelle Fiannaca and her neighbors for the morning.
I am very frustrated. I feel bad because I work for the town of Greece and I work in constituent services and people would be calling me, but we have a lot of help. I'm sure, the phones are being covered, but still, I feel bad.
Those who did try to make it out did not get very far. Eric Borcyk got stuck trying to get his kids to school.
There was no fire trucks or anything here, so I thought everything was fine, and we started to drive in and the car stalled and I had to have it towed out, so it's in a driveway down there. I've never seen it like this in 40 years in Greece. Unbelievable.
These guys had a better idea. Firefighters helped Don Hagreen pump 2 feet of water from his basement.
It started rising, it just was by 3, 4, 5 o'clock was the worst, and then from 7 I could still get out, barely out front, and then by 7:30 this was closed off.
The creek that runs through Lou Cerami's backyard usually has 6 inches of water. The storm filled it with several feet of water.
It was pretty frightening. The water was up to the back of our house, ready to come into the basement. And we are at a higher ground.
Others in this neighborhood had it much worse. Firefighters won't let us through here because the water is too high. This is where 3 families had to be evacuated because the water not only filled their basements, it also made it up to the first floor of their homes. Chris Michaels says they've had flooding problems here all summer because the town has not finished repairing a storm sewer.
It's frustrating knowing that it could have been prevented, but nobody can foretell what the weather's going to be, but if you know there's a potential problem, you at least have to take a look at it.
Frustrated with the town, frustrated with Mother Nature.
It's just a mess, but what are you going to do? It's nature, act of God.
Rocco Vertuccio, our news.
Well, in Brockport, flooding gave students the day off, but high waters also led to a state of emergency in the village.
Our news reporter Seth Voorhees and photojournalist Todd Krupa found one spot particularly bad off.
Along a quarter-mile stretch of East Canal Road in Brockport, you'd never even know a road was there.
This area floods a lot, but never this amount that I've seen before.
I started to see any change in that bank itself that I could make that call.
Floodwaters poured over the roadway and emptied into the Erie Canal, something that hadn't happened here in 30 years. It caused worry that erosion of the canal bank might lead to bigger headaches.
We're concerned about it. We're going to monitor it and just go from there for now.
Waters as deep as 10 feet threatened about a half dozen homes.
We need to have Kevin bring his boat down here and land over there and go up and talk with him.
Firefighters in boats checked up on stranded neighbors.
They need anything or whatever, then we come and get them.
I think it's pretty terrible.
Front property, no, it's oceanfront now.
The view from Bill Rossi's front steps wasn't pretty. The one from his basement was even worse. 5 feet of water covered a hot water heater, not to mention a new washer and dryer.
That's pretty bad. I mean, that sign's underwater, the mailbox is gone, you can't even see it.
Things are bad enough here in Brockport that village officials declared a state of emergency around 9:30 in the morning. They did it to keep people off the roadways because of situations like this.
Anytime you get flooding like this and that, stay away from it. And, some of these people that are out there screwing around in the water is to stay away from especially the culvert areas.
It's not going to stop raining by the looks of it. Any idea? What does the weatherman say?
Residents say they'd just like a little relief so they can start the cleanup.
What are you going to do? It's just a mess.
Seth Voorhees, our news.
Well, much like Greece, Brockport and Spencerport, parts of Hilton remain flooded. Our news reporter Kate Welshofer continues our coverage.
Well, the story here in Hilton is all about Salmon Creek. It looks a lot more like a lake. it's taken over part of the town. Now, people have been coming out here to see the scene on South Avenue here in the village. The firehouse and a bank are under a couple of feet of water.
All morning we were keeping our eye on it. We were measuring the creek as it was coming up. We sandbagged, we built a berm. The town and the village were in and helped us build a berm of stone, and we were pumping for a while. We kept up with it, but finally it just broke through the berm and we abandoned the firehouse.
This is a bit of history repeating for Hilton. The creek flooded this same area, including the firehouse, back in 1974. Former firefighter Don Stilson says this time the situation is worse.
We get a lot of spring floods that come up to the back of the driveway of the firehouse, but it's never, we could always control it. This one here just came too fast.
Residents of a nearby apartment complex had to evacuate. A shelter has been set up for them in the village at the community center. The chief says many of those people have family in the area and opted to stay with them. At this point, the chief says no one else will have to evacuate, and all they can do is just wait for the water to go down. Reporting from Hilton, Kate Welshofer, Our News.
They are celebrating teamwork.